Hello guys! Today we're going to talk about the 5 types of classes in Outerplane. Each class comes with 2 subtypes of classes, which will change the substats of the class, or rather the hero. In the end, you will find out the big difference between each class, each subtype of class, and what will the hero will mainly do to the class. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, to make things easier, I created a document with all the types of classes and subtypes of classes, to make a comparison between them far easier. I will tell you what's important for each class, what's the difference between the classes, and also let's take a look at the subsets. So, let's talk about Striker, the favorite class of Outerplane for me. And with Striker, they have passive abilities like all classes have, and this one is generates 5 action points at the start of turn. This is what every class has. Generates 20 action points when attacking, and increases critical hit chance by 5% initially already. And you can divide the class into 2 subtypes of classes. On the left side you can see the bruiser, on the right side you can see the attacker. And you will understand it here with the base stats shown that the bruiser has far better defense capabilities than the attacker, but the attacker has far higher speed and attack, right? So this is the big difference of the subsets of the units, and you can see it here in the level 100 maxed out stats. The attack of the attacker is higher compared to the bruiser, the defense is far lower, the health is slightly lower, the speed is far higher than bruiser, the crit chance is at 10% like mentioned from the passive, accuracy for the bruiser is higher, evasion is higher, but other than that, you don't see it here, the multipliers for the attackers feels also way stronger. So you could say Demiurge also has a really good multiplier on her attack. And in the end, when you see the stats, the important thing to note is speed set is not really good on bruisers because they will at best get 25 speed, right? It's a bit lower than 25 speed, but I'm not sure about rounding up and rounding down. While the attackers, they scale far better with speed, they scale far better with attack, though you could say bruisers' attack is not too bad and they are far squishier thanks to the defense. So bruisers scale well with defensive stats usually, and you know Rona, Demiurge and Edith, they all scale with either HP or defense, while attackers, they are poor attack. Those guys need poor attack. You could say Bait also need effectiveness, which is 2. I put her here in as a special case. But overall, what Noah and Wen want, and even Bait, is a lot of attack. A lot of offensive power in terms of crit damage and crit rate. So this is the part for the Strikers. So the next class we talk about is the Defender. The Defender generates 5 action points at the start of turn. They also generate 35 action points when hit, and the initial defense of each defender is increased by 15%. You can see as sweepers, for example, are Veronica, Sterope and Narukang. Phalanx are Leo, Christina and Honeyball. And yeah, for example, Veronica can deal a lot of damage actually, Sterope can also deal good damage, Narukang, not tested, but I heard she can be funny. Phalanx unit are not really scaling well with any kind of damage, and they are more utility oriented, okay? And we will skip this graph with the base stats and just go over to the 6-star maxed out stats. And you can see the sweeper on the left side has slightly higher attack, slightly higher defense, but slightly higher lower HP. Speed is roughly the same, and honestly, if you look at this, you feel like the right side indeed doesn't lose much out, and overall there is not a big difference between those two in terms of substats, right? The left side is a bit more offensive oriented but has more defense, and it would be hard to really judge them. More importantly is the role they play, right? The sweeper dealing lots of damage while being very durable. Keep in mind, I would call them slightly selfish units. They do a lot for the team and so on, they deal good damage, but compared to the Phalanx who are utility heroes, they are kinda selfish units, and I would call them maybe payoffs. They are definitely no hyper carry like Noah and so on. So what do they need? Like the bruiser, the sweeper can usually take advantage of all stats, right? Sweepers can utilize attack because the multipliers are good. defense is really high, so it's also good. HP is not really high. Speed is not so interesting for them because of the low initial speed, and evasion is not as good as the striker ones, but still fine. Resilience is fine. It's like you can slap any gear on them and they will somehow work. That's the power of sweepers, right? On the other hand, phalanx units, they also scale, but not as good as the sweepers. The multipliers are not as good. It doesn't feel like they deal a lot of damage. But the abilities of the skills are really team buff or debuff oriented, right? Like extreme, far more than the sweeper ones, and they make up for it with the utility. And that's why you could say they take advantage of all stats, but you really want them to be durable, to survive, and you don't want speed set initially, but you really want substat speeds. Like you can still use speed set, but they actually want to cycle through the abilities as often as they can. Okay. Next up are the Rangers, and they have only one passive ability, and that is they generate 20 instead of 5 action points at the start of turn. We differentiate Rangers between Tacticians and Vanguards, and you can see it in the base stats already. The defense capabilities of Tacticians is higher, the attack is lower, and the HP is higher of Tacticians, right? And I will say it right now, Vanguards are the most squishy units in the game. Rangers are already squishy, and Vanguards take it to another level. So if we look at the base stats on max upgrade, you can see that I think that the Vanguards have overall the lowest total stats, right? Here we can see the attack is not that high compared to attackers and mages. The attack is kind of low of Vanguards. I want to talk about them first. The defense is low, the HP is low, speed is incredible high, accuracy is low, effectiveness is low, resilience is low, evasion is kind of high. But why do I want to talk about them? Because those three, only Notia is viable. Stella and Sigma had some values, had some uses at some point in the game. Stella might be still usable, but they are so extremely squishy. You need so good gear, and the damage numbers, except for Notia. Notia is a really good unit, but the other two, the damage multipliers are so bad, it's really hard to build those units. The Tacticians from the Rangers on the end, like Valentine, Eliza, and Tamara, they are incredible units because, as the name suggests, they are utility oriented, unlike the Vanguards, which are supposed to be damage dealers or offensive units. And the stats are not that much better, but the HP is already better, the defense is better. And the speed stays the same, which is the important part why you play Rangers, right? And let's talk about the abilities. They have defense back. Tamara has a defense back. Valentine has pushes the enemy team back. Also has dual attacks ability, and like Tamara can buff your team with crit damage and crit rate. It's which is an extra turn without AP action points, right? Tacticians are one of the strongest classes right now in the game, subclasses. So definitely, if you have Valentine, if you have Tamara, or even the other ones, which I feel like have a lot of utility in gold rates, definitely build them. They are totally worth it, really strong units. So what do they need? The Tacticians like Valentine and Tamara, they need effectiveness and speed and accuracy, at least in PvP. I think you can get away with effectiveness and speed, or effectiveness only in raid because of the turn limit. But they also take offensive damage stats. It's not like that they scale really well with them, but rather than HP, they will die anyway. They are so squishy, they don't need HP and so on. They will cycle through the turns and they will die like a fly. It's even more for the Vanguards here on the right side. They will die. If they get touched by anything, they just basically die. They are extremely hard to gear, and they need high-end offensive speed gear to function properly. Like a Stella with the same gear that Win has will be taking the first turn, maybe, but she will not be able to kill Win, and Win can just one-shot her. That's the difference. Win is stat-wise overall just more solid, just more scalable than the Vanguard units. Notia has good damage multipliers, has a really good passives. There is a difference. Like they can I think you could say that the developers were very, very careful with Vanguards. Next coming up is the Mage. The Mage generates 5 action points at the start of turn, generates action points when using skills, and increases attack by 10%. The subtypes are Enchanter and Wizard. The Enchanters are mostly debuff-oriented units like Dolly, Alpha, Alice, and also Eternal, for example, while Wizards are more damage-oriented like Laplace, Maxwell, and Lisha. Stats-wise, you could say they are not that high of a there's not that high of a difference. The Mage, the Wizards actually have very, very high attack, but very, very low defense. Speed and is for both subclasses average. Health is better on the Wizard side, but worse on the Enchanter side, so they are more fragile. But both overall, both subtypes deal a good amount of damage, like Dolly can slap, and Alice can slap, Eternal can slap. They are not bad at damage dealer at all. Accuracy, the ones who are putting the debuffs have worse accuracy, but in terms of accuracy and effectiveness, both are not very mention-worthy. Resilience is low, evasion is average, like, there's nothing. The problem with mages is, except for the attack, they don't really have anything to talk about. The stats are all over the place, and yeah. For the Enchanter, all you need is effectiveness and accuracy, and depending on if you do wait or limited turns content in PvE or PvP, you will either need speed or not speed. They benefit of offensive stats because of the high damage that they actually deal, and the same goes for Wizards. Wizards needs offensive damage stats. They are poor damage dealer, they don't need evasion, they don't need effectiveness, they don't need resilience. Some may use effectiveness, but all they are focusing on is dealing damage, okay? So crit chance, crit damage, attack, speed are the most important ones. And finally, we have the healer. The healer generates 5 action points at the start of turn, generates 25 action points when an ally is hit, and increases health by 10%. So there is the subtype of Reliever and the subtype of Sage. Relievers are basically units who are mostly focused on healing. That's the main selling point. Sages, also very good healers, we know, Mana extremely good healer, but they also take a big focus on buffing their own team. With Mana, she buffs attack, she cleanses, and it's a bit a stretch to call her a Sage because all her ability to heal, Mana is just broken. Let's keep it like that, but that's basically the role description, right? Fennon is a better role description for it because she is not the greatest healer, but she gives your team immunity, but she got power cut by Aste, so there's that, I guess. In terms of stats, they have like the greatest stats overall, but it's mostly defensive, right? If we go for the left side, the Reliever has the highest HP, base HP, has good defense, speed is low, right? And offensive stats, we don't have to talk about offensive stats, they are just bad. The same goes for Sage, very bad offensive stats. HP is lower, but still very good with 4810. Defense is extremely high, so a really good defense scaling unit. And other than that, resilience is on them really, really good. So the main focus on them, depending on if you are in PvE or PvP, is in both cases you probably want defensive stats, and depending on if you're on PvP or doing turn limited stuff, you might care about speed or not speed, right? So keep that in mind. It depends on the content you are doing. And I think with that we have it. There's not much more to talk about classes in this kind of case. And with that, I want to thank you all so much for watching the video till the end, if you did it. And if you like the content, leave a like or subscribe, it helps me a lot. I'm really happy to do content which actually helps you guys, right? I don't want to spam content anymore because it feels like it's making it harder to find valuable information on the channel. And with that, I wish you all a good time. Please stay in Outerplane. Please keep joining the community in Discord and so on. We are a small community, but I feel like there's a big influx of new players, and it's worth to start Outerplane now better than ever, right? So, and with that out of the way, have a good time, guys.